Okay, so the last few weeks in the world of AI have been, well, absolutely wild. I mean, we are seeing some massive moves from all the big players, and it really feels like it's signaling a huge shift in how we're all going to be interacting with this tech.
And that shift, it really boils down to one simple question. Is AI getting a promotion? Seriously, it feels like we're finally moving past that era of, simple assistants that just answer our questions. Now we're stepping into a whole new phase where AI is becoming more like an autonomous colleague.
And that brings us to our first big trend, the rise of AI agents. Look, we're not just talking about one AI doing one little thing anymore. No. We're talking about entire teams of AI agents working together to tackle really complex stuff. And you won't believe the example that just dropped from Anthropic.
So they've rolled out this new code review feature for their Claude model. And let me tell you, this is not your average spell check for code. Not even close. It actually deploys a whole team of AI agents that basically swarm every single pull request. That's just fancy dev speak for a code submission that a developer makes. The really key thing to get here is that they are all in on depth and accuracy over just, raw speed.
So how does it actually work? Well, it's pretty slick. When a developer opens that PR, a whole swarm of these agents just descends on it, analyzing it all at the same time. Then, and this is the clever part, they cross-reference what they find to weed out any false alarms, rank the real bugs by how serious they are, and then shoot a nice clean summary right back to the developer. It's basically a digital version of their own internal human review process.
And the results? Well, they speak for themselves. Since they started using this internally, Anthropic says the amount of genuinely useful feedback, the kind that helps developers catch actual problems, has skyrocketed from just 16% to an incredible 54%. That's a massive leap. It means this thing is catching really tricky bugs that even a seasoned engineer might just glance over. But, all right, there's always a catch, right? All this power comes with a trade-off. A single review can take around 20 minutes and cost anywhere from $15 to $25. So yeah, that's definitely more expensive and slower than a lot of other tools out there that are built for speed. It really forces companies to make a choice. Do you go for fast and cheap, or do you invest in deep and accurate? Now, this whole idea of multi-agent systems, it's way bigger than just code review. Anthropic is not alone on this island. Microsoft is taking the exact same concept and blowing it up for the entire office with a new system they're calling Copilot Cowork. So think of Cowork as this autonomous layer that sits on top of everything in Microsoft 365. The whole idea is you can give it a super high-level command like, hey, build a meeting packet for my team's quarterly review. And it doesn't just give you tips, it literally does it. It'll map out a plan, generate the PowerPoint slides, pull in the right spreadsheets and docs, and basically run the whole show across all your different apps. And it does all of this while staying within your company's existing security boundaries. Pretty wild.
Okay, so that's the agent layer. Super cool stuff. But what about what's underneath all that? The actual engines powering everything, the models themselves are locked in this furious race. And right now, believe me, the open weight model space is where all of the drama is happening.
So, in one corner, you've got Google. We've seen some recent leaks from their own GitHub repos, by the way, that suggest the launch of their next big open weight model, Gemma 4, is right around the corner. And the way they've designed it, well, it tells you a lot about their strategy. Get this. The model reportedly has a whopping 120 billion total parameters. But, and this is the key part, it only uses about 15 billion of them at any given moment. Why does that matter? Well, it's a super clever strategy. It lets them deliver performance that gets you almost to the level of those giant, super expensive proprietary models, but in a package that's way more efficient. It can run on much cheaper hardware, and for accessibility, that is an absolute game changer. But here's where the plot thickens. Just as Google is getting ready to launch, one of its biggest would-be rivals, DeepSeek V4, has mysteriously hit the brakes on its own launch, which everyone was really looking forward to. Okay, this timeline reads like a high-stakes strategy novel. So DeepSeek V4 was pretty much expected to drop around March 3rd. But then, right on cue, OpenAI drops a surprise model update out of nowhere, basically moving the goalposts for the entire industry. What did DeepSeek do? Instead of launching, they just went silent. The rumor mill is churning, and the big theory is that OpenAI's move forced them to go back to the drawing board. They're not just trying to meet the new benchmark anymore. They're trying to leapfrog it entirely.
All right, last but not least, let's zoom out a bit and look at how the whole ecosystem around these super powerful models is growing up. I mean, as AI gets more and more capable and more autonomous, the platforms, the tools, and especially the safety guardrails around them are becoming absolutely critical.
And speaking of safety, OpenAI just made a really smart move. They acquired PromptFu, which is this popular open source tool for what's called red teaming AI. That's basically where you hire hackers, or in this case, a tool, to try and break your system on purpose to find all the weak spots. They literally said they did it to strengthen their generative security testing. This is a massive signal that they're getting serious about safety, especially as these agent systems get more powerful and, let's be honest, more unpredictable.
Meanwhile, over at Google, they're all about making their tools easier to use. They just added this neat little feature called Minimalist Mode to their Gemini command line interface, the CLI. It's super simple. You just double tap the tab key and poof, all the extra clutter on the screen just vanishes, leaving you with nothing but a clean, simple prompt box.
Now, that might sound like a tiny thing, but it's actually a pretty big deal. This is all about taking a tool that was traditionally for developers and making it feel way less intimidating for, well, everyone else. By getting rid of the noise and just streamlining the whole thing, Google is lowering the barrier to entry. And that's absolutely essential if you want tons of people to actually start using it.
And hey, this push for maturity isn't just happening with the big guys. It's happening in the open source world too. Take OpenClaw, a really popular local AI agent. They just dropped 2 releases back-to-back that are absolutely packed with updates. We're talking features so agents know who they're interacting with, a proper backup system to make them safer to use, and they've patched over a dozen security holes. The entire ecosystem is just getting tougher and more reliable, and man, it is happening fast.
So, let's recap. We've got agent teams reviewing your code, we've got autonomous systems ready to run your entire office, and it's all being powered by this insane competitive race between AI models. The trend couldn't be clearer. AI is becoming a doer, not just an advisor. So that leaves us with one final thought to chew on. Once this kind of tech is just a normal part of your daily life, what's the very first big, complicated task you're just going to hand over completely?